For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quat, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Mandy Prater. How's it going today, Mandy?
Oh, it's going great. Thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Enjoying the Twitch life, I guess is the way to word it. So,
Good.
And I do want to thank you being one of the several musicians to push me towards Twitch and the podcast in general. So, I think I started watching your Twitch channel when we had you, after we had you on the podcast. What was that, December? I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was right around December. Yeah.
So yeah, it was between you and a lot of other musicians that kind of pushed me over into the Twitch universe. And so it's been an exciting ride. Good.
Yeah. It's a fun place, and the fans are very loyal. And so it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things, though, that it's been really hard for me to build my following because, like, yes, I'm the constant, but a lot of the musicians there's such a diverse range of musicians that come on here, from like country all the way to hip hop and heavy metal and, just a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's kind of really hard to know how certain people are going to respond when we have certain musicians on.
Right. Yeah.
So
I get that. Yeah.
It's always interesting, but excited to have you back on and chat a little bit and catch up. I know you got some big shows coming up, and just keeping busy throughout the summer. So what's kind of going on? I know we just talked about a show at UT Austin that you got to.
Yes, I'm excited about that. I've got on this coming Friday, May 6th. There is a place in Austin on the UT campus called Cactus Cafe. It's actually I think the building is called like the Student Union or something like that. It's a hangout building kind of, and they have had this place that's been there for 30 or 40 years at least. And they've had some great major artists come through there over time. So I'm excited to get to play there. That's going to be this coming Friday at 7:30. The show starts. Doors open at 7, and there's no cover.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. And that's playing at a college camp, like having been at a couple of shows that have played at a college campus in various capacities, whether it's at like the student union or college sponsored shows in the park, like whatever it is, those are always really exciting for the students. Yep. That's the word. So, and that's gotta be a cool experience for you. Is this the first time you've played at UTA?
Technically, I've played at events on campus before, but not something like this. And of course, so I haven't played to like college kids are not my typical audience when I go out and do live shows.
Yeah.
So it'll be different for me, and but it's exciting. Like, I got my start sort of playing at my own college back in the day. So, that was always fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm trying to think like, what songs should I play? What are they going to like? All that kind of stuff. But I know that people of all ages from all over town and beyond also come to the Cactus to listen to music. So, it should be cool.
Awesome. It's kind of interesting because it's like, I can only imagine what's going through your head right now. It's, do I play more covers? Do I play older covers, more modern stuff? Do I play originals? So it's an interesting time because college kids are interesting creatures.
Right. Yeah. And, I'm always surprised, just like I was into classic rock music when I was 20.
Mhm.
So I mean, I can't just say like, oh, they're not gonna like a Led Zeppelin song, or they're not gonna like
Mhm.
Counting Crows song or
Yeah.
something, because you just never know. And
Yeah.
I think it's kind of more about, for me, I guess I'll probably just go through my list and say, what are the songs that I do best, and
Mhm.
just kind of go from there. And as well as trying to get as many of my originals in as I can.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to definitely have to be pretty fluid, I would assume, because if you go in planning to do one set and you go there and you see a bunch of kids wearing classic rock t-shirts and just like, oh, they're all wearing Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd shirts, maybe I need to alter this set list a little bit. So
Yeah, and that's kind of a thing about reading the crowd. And I've been in bands where it kind of goes both ways. You can second guess people until you drive yourself crazy when you're at a live show and say, oh, that guy over there looks like a biker, we should play some Judas Priest. And then afterwards he comes up and compliments you on the Fleetwood Mac cover that you played.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah.
And people surprise you, and you can't like underestimate people,
Yeah.
So
You
that's
can't-
kind of cool.
Yeah, you can't underestimate the power of good music, because at the end of the day, that's why they're there. They want to hear good music. And if it's good, they're going to like it no matter what. So that's assuming that they could put aside like or differentiate personal taste from good music.
Right. And that's the thing that as I got older, I was able to do more. When you're a teenager and you define your whole identity by, I was a fan of Nirvana, and, so it wasn't cool to like, the boy bands or pop music or something like that. But over time, you kind of realize, when I went to audio engineering school, they kind of drilled into our head, if it sounds good, it is good. If it's well written, it's good. It doesn't matter if it's country, rap, or alternative or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm seeing some people jumping in chat here. If anybody has any specific questions that they'd like me to ask Mandy, we're going to do this a little bit different than we usually do our podcast. Feel free to get any questions in the chat. And I do want to thank a few people that have followed us, Tumble being one of them, followed us just a little bit ago. And so that's kind of been an interesting ride for us, is just seeing the crossover of a lot of the musicians that don't intersect like geographically speaking. So like on your streams, I've met a few people that I've met on a stream with a couple of UK musicians. And so it's just kind of like this not weird intersect, but an interesting intersect of fans.
Yeah, there's so much cross-pollination going on Twitch with all the raids and the fans, when it's like, who should we raid? And somebody shouts out a name that another streamer that they like that maybe I have never even heard of before. And we end up going to their channel, and the streamers become friendly with each other. And so you never know. Yeah. I mean, I see we've got, right now we've got people watching from Argentina, Germany, that are some of my mods, and New York here that I see in the chat. So
it's interesting for sure. Actually, it's kind of funny. So I think it was yesterday or Thursday, I was watching a stream, and she was wrapping up and she was like, oh, none of the people I wanted to raid are on. Does anybody have any raid suggestions? And I was like, oh, my friend from Seattle is on. Here's her name. You want to, like, she's a really cool streamer. And she's like, okay, cool. Threw it in there. Come to find out, we raided her. She was getting ready to raid our stream because it was just like, oh, that's funny and it's interesting at the same time. So
yeah, that's happened to me a handful of times. And it's also happened to me where I've raided and then I'll go back to my dashboard and see that I got rated right after I ended my stream. And I'll be like, hey, everybody, we're over at this person now. Come on over. And like, it's just like bringing the party with you wherever you go. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got a question here from Shayna. What do you
Oh,
like most about streaming?
what do I like most about streaming? Oh, that's a hard one. Um, I guess what makes it really fun is the interactions with all the different people from all over the world. It's so unique. It's so unique that I can just turn on my computer here in my house and have people from, Europe, Asia, South America, Canada, watching and all. I love the way that all of the people that are regulars in my stream become friendly with each other and say hi to each other and know each other because of my channel. And that's, people have made friends and relationships while listening to my music. And I think that's really cool because one thing that music does really well is bring people together. And I just love that.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
It definitely is interesting seeing the relationships form and, just going into every stream that I go into, you're being introduced to a new family. And this is going to sound weird, but you got to kind of work your way in and without show them like, hey, I'm not a crazy person. I'm here, I'm one of you. But that's kind of always the funny part. So
yeah, it's always it's awkward sometimes when you go into a new channel. It's like, well, I would like to meet these people. I would like to chat with them, but if you chat too much, they're like, are they a troll? Are they a weirdo?
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to like you said, kind of ease your way into that.
Yeah. And the other issue that I have is most of the time I lurk in the channels just because I'll turn it on just to have something playing in the background while I'm working on 20 other things. And then I kind of forget that it's like a Twitch stream and I need to be in there interacting or at least trying to fit in. Like there's been a couple situations where I'll go in and I've listened to the stream like 20 times, but because I was just listening and wasn't interacting in the community, they're like, oh, is this your first time here? And it's like,
right.
No, it's not. But I guess I see your point.
Well, there are a lot of lurkers too. And a lot of streamers, of course we love seeing the people comment and chat, but we also just appreciate anybody who's tuning into our channel and supporting even just by being a viewer or a listener. And, sometimes I could have 100 people watching my stream, but maybe only about 15 or 20 of them are actively chatting. But, it's, you still appreciate, any level of support. So.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Just a reminder for everybody that just joined us, feel free to throw your questions in the chat. We will be asking questions here for a little bit. I know you're getting ready for a stream here, your typical Saturday night stream. So I'm sure that's exciting. And this is a nice warm up for that. Actually, you kind of threw me off because I was doing something and I got an alert that said you were live. And I was like, wait a minute, did she forget about our stream or what's going on here? And then I went and looked and I was just like, oh, she must have accidentally logged on or something.
I did. Yeah. I was testing some things and I accidentally hit the stream button instead of the record button, which I've done that once or twice. Luckily I didn't have my camera on. Mm-hmm. The other time I did, and I was in my pajamas, hadn't brushed my hair, had my glasses on, and I had like 16 people watching me mess around with my loop pedal. I didn't even know it. Yeah. And so you got to be careful. I should probably find out if there's some kind of way to turn that off, but it was fine. I just turned it back off and was like, sorry, everybody. I was just testing stuff and I'll be back later.
That's cool though. That's still so. I do have to commend you though. You're dedicated to the streaming because I've been in some of your streams where you just got done playing a 2-3 hour show and then you have the after party on Twitch and then you go for another 3 hours. Yeah. And it's like, dang, that's amazing, incredible,
Twitch has definitely helped me build up my endurance. Mm-hmm. and my voice is probably almost as strong as it's ever been, and my hands, I've got some good healthy calluses on my fingers, and so I can play 5 hours in one day. It's not always the smartest thing to do, but yeah, it's I during pandemic, this was 100% almost of my income and of my creative outlet, was Twitch. So, when I started taking a few local gigs again, I really wanted to make sure that I was still, being committed to my community here online. And so we've kind of tried a few different things. At first, there's been a couple of times where I came home from a gig, started streaming at midnight here, and then my East Coast mods were up until like 4 a.m. their time. And it was just like, this is getting crazy. So recently, the last 2 months, when I have this one show that's in Pflugerville, which is a little bit north of Austin, and it goes from like 8 to 11 p.m. So that was the one that I'd come home afterwards and stream. And I decided to try streaming on Twitch that stream instead. And the last couple months I did that, and it was really fun. And I was a little nervous about trying it because sometimes it just looks like a lot of times when people do live streams on their live gigs on their channel that they just don't have very many people interested in watching it. Yeah. But sure. I think my community is so loyal, and they really do just love listening to the music sometimes. And even though I don't chat as much the way I would, or respond to as many comments the way I would when I'm streaming from home, they still have fun, even just getting together and, talking to each other and listening to the songs. And it's a little more laid back. And so I'm kind of excited about continuing to do that sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where having a good community really comes into play. And that's ultimately where I hope to get my community built, is when we're doing the podcast. I don't necessarily have to always interact, where let's say we're in a conversation and we've got a good flow going. They could just kind of have their own thing, and then this be the main focus. So that is kind of interesting and a good thing about having a good community. And
just be a fly on the wall. And I really enjoy watching podcasts like yours and hearing some of the thoughts about, what musicians go through. And I learn from other musicians, and, so it's really interesting sometimes to just get to hear those little things that don't come up when we're chatting on a stream typically,
Yeah. And that's been the interesting thing, because during the pandemic, I was all about streaming as much as I could, doing as many podcasts as I could. And I think I was worried more about the quantity that we were putting out than the quality. And for the last year and a half, 2 years, that was my main focus. Nope, we just got to do this constantly and just get as many episodes out as we can. And then the last month or so, I've started pulling back with the amount of podcasts that we do. And the quality is so much better. I have time to sit there and what was it? 2 days ago, we were talking just really in depth about fear, and she a little context to the point. She had an album that she'd been sitting on for 16 years. Wow. And she just wasn't ready to release it. And I threw in the question of, hey, so do you regret waiting this long? And then that just spurred off this big, long conversation. Whereas if I had tired myself out and been doing 20 podcasts over the previous week, I probably wouldn't have thrown that question in there.
Totally. Yeah. I'd be phoning it in somewhat or whatever, or just you're mentally tired and you weren't as thoughtful, or that's the same with me too. I mean, I do stream a lot. I know there are some streamers that stream every day. There are some streamers that stream 8 hours. and I've kept it at typically 3 a week, because for that same reason, I don't want to injure myself, and I have in the past had some physical, wrist and hand problems and stuff, or lose my voice, but also just like burnout is real,
That was the issue that I ran into early pandemic, because I was working from home. I was like, okay, I can do 3 podcasts a day, hour each. And so when you're looking over the course of 3 weeks, 7 days, and then even on Saturdays, I'd squeeze a 4th one in there. And so you're looking at, on average, 21 podcasts a week.
Wow.
My voice was trashed. And I called my buddy. He's like, dude, when did you start smoking? And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't smoke. He's like, you sound like you've been smoking a carton a day for the last 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, point taken. So there's another question in the chat. This comes from Uncle Al. Is it still mostly strange to talk to people that are only words in a chat room after having streamed for 2 years?
It's funny that you should ask that, Al, because I was in another streamer's channel yesterday, and one of their mods, they're a very nice person, but I just realized I know nothing about this person. I'm always happy when I see them, when I see their name in chat, I'm like, oh, hi. And, but it's like, I don't know what they look like. I don't know where they live. I assume it's a guy, but it could be a girl. There's so much, but you see the name over and over, and you do start to feel like them, or you get comfortable with, you understand their demeanor, and you understand what kind of stuff they post in chat tells a lot about who they are as a person. But it's still, even the names that people choose, can be very telling. But yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, Al, because I did just think of that yesterday. But on the other hand, it's like some of you guys that I do know, that I have spoken to personally, that I have seen on video chats, it's cool to put a face to a name, and different things. Yeah.
For me, I would say, I wouldn't say it's strange, just because I didn't start streaming on Twitch. I started streaming on Facebook. So it was a lot of people that I already knew previously through work, school, like whatever the relationship was. So my start was there. So it was just like a bunch of people I already knew, or whoever I was podcasting with, they knew. So it was just kind of like, okay, these are real humans. Right. Now on Twitch, on the flip side of that coin, Twitch, there's really not much of a profile system, so to speak, like in the same capacity that's like Facebook or whatever. But it's also, I haven't been streaming on Twitch that long. So it's, it's a little bit different. Maybe in a year or two, when I've been streaming on Twitch for a good minute and the following's more established, and, we start getting our regulars, it'll be interesting. So.
Yeah. Well, what's also interesting to kind of connected with that question is the fact that, there are people that have probably watched, hundreds of hours of my stream, and I don't know as much about them as they know about me, I don't know what they're like. I haven't seen them in action doing something they love. So it's kind of a weird imbalance of everyone who's watching can choose to be pretty much anonymous. Yeah. And I'm not, and sometimes that can be a little scary.
But for a musician, isn't that kind of what a actual show performance is like? Because you go there, you go to a venue, whether it's a coffee shop or a theater, like whatever it is, and you don't know everybody that's in there. You don't know their actual intentions, True. Of course, there are, there's a whole other room of other people who also see everything they're doing, and there's hopefully some type of security, but yeah, that's true too.
but I haven't had as many hecklers at live shows as I have online,
Yeah.
And that's because there is more social pressure, I think, because you're not as anonymous in person, in an in-person setting.
That is very true.
Even if nobody there knows you, they're still going to start looking at you like, what's this jerk doing? And they may physically remove you, which also happens on Twitch, but that doesn't mean that's part of a danger of just having a public profile too, is people can look me up on other platforms. I use my real name, on everything. And there are some streamers that don't, and that didn't from the beginning. And there's part of me that wonders if that would have been a good idea because of some of the things that I've had happen.
Yeah. That's actually the weird thing. Yeah. Because I've noticed it in your stream, and then a couple, like how people, like when I'm in chat, how people refer to me, like you refer to me as Live and Amplified, which is weird to begin with, because it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess that's me. Yeah, cool. And then there's a few that know me personally, and they call me Tom.
And so I called Tom a couple times too.
Yeah. So it's just kind of interesting, and it's like, I don't get mad when people call me Live and Amplified, but it's just like, I don't know. That's a weird thing for me, but
yeah. Well, and part of the reason that I do that is like, I know your name, but nobody else in the stream does. So if there's 100 people watching, they're like, who's this Tom person she just addressed? And so it can be confusing for everybody else. And I've done that. I've had a few people that I know in person from real life too. And I'll call them by their real name instead of their handle, which is completely different. And some of them don't like that because they want to be known as their fake name, know.
What I tend to do, and it's been kind of an interesting run, is if I know them, but like their screen name is something completely different than their actual name. So like, for instance, if I see my friend Steve in chat, I'll be like, hey, Steve, I'm going to call you later. We got to talk about something. And that's just kind of like my passive way of not airing out all the business, just like, hey, Steve, I'm going to call you. And he doesn't have to respond. He can be like, okay, cool. He's going to call me. And then we can just kind of keep it moving instead of, hey, Bloodlocker, like whatever.
Code name, the eagle has landed. Like, yeah.
So, but you did bring up something interesting a little bit earlier, that throughout the pandemic, that Twitch was kind of your creative outlet. Did you do a lot of writing during the pandemic on Twitch?
Not on Twitch. I've never written a song on Twitch. Maybe just screwing around, making something up on the spot, but nothing serious. I just I'm more private about my creative or I guess I'm not convinced that people want to see me sit there and think for like an hour, and so I haven't figured out how to be entertaining with that. So I haven't done it live, but I did write some songs for at least the first 6 months, 8 months of pandemic. I was in this songwriting group, and we had to turn in a new song every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So I wrote probably 20 songs during that time period. And then I got a little burned out on it and needed to take a break. So I haven't written anything in about a year and a half.
Gotcha.
Now.
Gotcha. That was actually going to be my next question, where you kind of are at right now with your creative process.
But I actually have released 2 of my songs that I wrote during pandemic. I released one in 2020 and I released one last fall. And the newer one, On the Outside, it just finished its cycle on the charts, but we made it all the way up to number 32 on the Texas Internet Radio chart and number 76 on the Texas Country Music chart.
Oh, wow.
So I was really proud of that. And I had one of my people that I actually met on Twitch that decided to try his hand at radio promoting, and he was fantastic at it.
And I think that was the guy that initially introduced us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I mean, exactly. I wouldn't be on your live stream right now probably if you hadn't been out there pounding the pavement. So just goes to show,
Yeah. And it was kind of fun. So for everybody listening, how that one kind of broke out. So we had a radio show that we did in Roswell, New Mexico that lasted pretty much the entire calendar year of 2021. We launched like early January, and then it was discontinued like October, November, somewhere in that ballpark. And towards the end of it, I can't remember the guy's name, but he reached out to me about you and was like, hey, or no, reached out to the DJ at the station, was like, hey, I've got this musician that's just trying to get some radio play, trying to, promote herself outside of her market. And the DJ at the station gave him my contact information. And funny thing is, I had been listening to you for probably a good year and a half prior because, just having all that time on my hands and just kind of being as active as I could have been in the scene, and just like going into like the different Austin rocks and Austin Facebook groups. I saw you pop up a few different times.
Oh, that's crazy.
So
wow.
It was kind of funny. So he emailed me and I was like, yeah, I've been trying to figure out how to get her on my podcast for a good minute now. I was always too nervous to email her and ask her because, just one of those things. And it was quite an interesting turn of events.
That's awesome.
But that's not the first time it happens. It seems to happen quite frequently, which is
where you're like, I've heard of them before. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's always an interesting ride. So last time we talked, you had just released a single and you'd mentioned a little bit ago that you haven't really been doing any writing. Is that something that you hope to get back to doing soon, or are you just kind of focused on Twitch and doing the live stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I have felt a couple times, I kind of, if I'm inspired, I might write something down, but it's been really hectic the past year or so. And I just haven't really been in that zone to really focus on writing. But I have a lot of songs that I've written that are unreleased. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of like, there's like a bottleneck of unreleased music. And I kind of want to release some of that before it's more of a priority to me to figure out how to release the stuff I already have than to keep writing more stuff right now. But if I was inspired to write something, I definitely would.
Gotcha. And so all the stuff they have unreleased, is it like already recorded, or is it just stuff that you're playing in live shows and still needs to be recorded?
Mostly needs to be recorded. Yeah. If I had stuff ready to go, I would have definitely released it already probably. But I've just had trouble finding the right people to work with that I feel like match my style. Yeah. And so that's something I've kind of been struggling with.
Yeah. I don't know. Uncle Al seems kind of offended that you're holding out on them.
Well, he gets to hear all the songs already. He hears them on the stream.
Yeah. And Uncle Al, I've figured out how to ban people, so this might be dangerous because we talked about trolls a little bit ago and somebody, jumping right into chat. So
it's okay. He's one of my mods.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he was saying that he wished he had his mod ban hammer. And I'm like, let me see if I could figure out how to ban people while still keeping the conversation going. And I'm just sitting here like fidgeting
it's a lot of multitasking as a streamer.
Yeah. And I just recently started running 2 different screens, which is nice because I can have the chat running over here and I can see in real time what's going on. And then I've got, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I need another monitor pretty badly. I don't have a lot of room in here. I need to revamp my whole studio. This is all kind of set up in a kind of a just haphazard way because I didn't really know when I started streaming how long I would be doing it for. So I just kind of took what I had and kind of threw something together. And over time, there have been multiple upgrades of equipment and stuff, but it's still kind of thrown together. And so like, I need a better desk. I need another monitor, that kind of stuff. And, just figuring out how to do that, and I'm like, what if, how much do I invest in this type of equipment, not knowing, will Twitch be there in a year? Will my community be there in a year when maybe there's no more pandemic?
Yeah. When I think the past 6 months or so has really shown that the Twitch in general just has legs. And like, I mean, obviously we're not out of the pandemic yet, because there always could be a nice turnaround. But the last 6 months or so, I'd say it's been a good indicator that things are starting to level out, and we're going to see what sticks and what doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and there's new streamers, new musicians joining every day too, still.
Yeah. I actually enjoy going on Twitch and finding those musicians.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting stuff out there that you got to kind of sift through, like people that are just playing music to nothing, like they're running radio shows or something, which is always kind of interesting. But today I found a musician from Japan. Like, she's got this very small, meek voice, and then when she sings, she's got this big, powerful voice. It's like, yo, like, that's can't be you singing. Like, where'd all that confidence come from? Like,
that's awesome.
She's very shy, awkward, and inward when she talks, and then she starts singing, and that confidence comes out, and it's like, talk like you sing. Like, that's amazing. So
yeah, it's really fun. I occasionally will just get on at weird times and look for people and just click on channels I've never been in before. And I've found so many amazing musicians that way. And then I enjoy, if I get a chance, like bringing my community over there at the end of my stream to check them out. And yeah, I'm always looking for more great, not just, for my own entertainment, but for my community's entertainment, and for streamers to network with for myself as well. So
for sure. It's been really nice building out a community, just getting in there. And like, so for like Live and Amplified in general, like I try and update our Spotify playlist just with new musicians, and Twitch has been this weird gold mine of new music and new musicians to find, because I don't have to go through this like tedious process of searching. I can literally just go browse, and it gives you every musician that's streaming. And if you want to range it by like most popular to least popular, or least popular to most popular, cool, you can do that. Or you could just go to the recommend file, and it's like musicians upon musicians, and it's just like they're all really good and they're all really incredible.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely amazing. But I don't want to keep you too much longer here, because I know you got your stream coming up here. What's the plan for tonight's stream? Are you doing originals, covers? Is doing anything special?
A mixture of everything. It's most of my streams are all request, except for when I do live gig streams. I usually choose my own songs on those. But yeah, it's pretty much about 95% whatever gets requested from my song list. And I've got a little over 200 songs on my list, and about 15 of them are originals and the rest are covers. So yeah, we get a good mixture though. And I've been really, really honored that my community really does love my original songs too. Mm-hmm. So they request those almost equally as much as they request the covers. So it's been really nice for me to feel like a little more appreciated with my originals from coming on to Twitch.
Yeah,
so
for sure. How often do you update your song list? Like, how often, like, as far as like covers, I mean, obviously when you get new originals, you put those on, but like, how often are you putting on new covers?
Well, lately I've been doing a fun thing where whenever you know what a hype train is, right?
Yep.
You've seen those by now. Whenever in Twitch, when when people donate, there's if enough people donate at once, there's a hype train that comes and it encourages more people to donate in a short period of time. And there's levels to it that you beat to get to the next level. And the top level that Twitch counts is 100% on level 5. And then it'll keep going up. You can get a 1,600% on level 5 if people just really go insane. But so I told my people that if we got to 100% on level 5, I would do a live learn, which is basically learning a new song live on stream from user suggestions. Or, I have places, I have a suggestion box and a place where people can put ideas, and I'll go through and pick things that I think I could do justice to, and then I'll look up the chords and do a new one. So in the past, 2 months, I think we've added about 20 new songs. Nice. But normally, it's like whenever I have time, or if I hear a song and I'm like, oh, I love that. I've been trying to add some more newer songs that are new on the radio, because a lot of my list is classic rock and 90s. But people love, and especially the people that have been watching me for a year and a half or more. Yeah. They want to hear new stuff. They don't want to hear the same songs every time, even though they have their favorites. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's always interesting to see how people do live learns. Like the way you do it with the hype train is one way. I've seen musicians doing it. And then there's also, like, if you tip a certain amount, they'll do a live learn, like a specific live learn to whatever you want, or whatever the tipper wants, which is really cool. And it comes back to bite some of the musicians in the butt, because it's like they'll throw in like a really random live learn just because they think it's funny. Yeah. See, I've done a few crazy things when people have dropped like an insane amount. I learned like American Pie once, even though I've never played it before. But I have a rule that even if people tip like $30 or $50, like I have to pre-approve the live learn. And the mods make sure to tell them that, so they don't like tip and then get mad because I'm not going to learn their Slayer song or something that they think is funny, So but definitely I pre-approve things because I'm a people pleaser, and I want to make the person who tipped happy, but I also have 50 or 100 other people watching that are like, what is this? And they're gonna leave. So it's a fine line, and is it entertaining to watch me struggle through a song I've never heard? Maybe not. Is it entertaining to watch me play a song you've never heard me play, but I'm familiar with it, and maybe I can do a good job? Like, maybe more so. Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. That's my philosophy on that. But I think it comes from the intent of the person. Like there's one stream that I frequent on Tuesday or Monday nights. There was somebody that she's like a Americana / country artist, solo acoustic, and somebody threw in a live learn for a Hollywood Undead song. And it's like, you expect her to sit here and try and convert a Hollywood Undead song to acoustic guitar? And sometimes that could be really freaking cool. Yeah. But I don't know, as someone who's primarily a singer before I am a guitar player or before I'm a piano player, like, I really want to be acquainted with the melody and be acquainted with the phrasing of the song before I would try to sing it. It's kind of easy to fake through chords, but to me, the melody and the phrasing of the song is important. And so I don't want to get it like totally wrong where it doesn't even sound like the song, because I've never heard the song. Yeah, for sure. But so. But before we wrap this up, we got to do the random question generator. Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to rapid fire the random question generator at you, and we'll do probably about 5 or 10. We'll just kind of see how wordy some of these questions get. All right. So if you're ready, we'll do the rapid fire round. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. Fishing or hiking? Hiking. What's the most overpriced thing you've ever purchased? A car. Fair. That's very fair.
If you had to choose between going on vacation with your smartphone or a friend, which one would you pick?
A friend.
What wait, what non-event is better than the event itself?
What non-event? I'm not sure what that means.
I'm not either.
Pass.
Pass. Yep, that's fair. Would you rather get a printed story of your dreams or a video clip every morning?
Video clip.
If you don't have work, do you set an alarm in the morning?
Sometimes.
Fair.
But I wake up really late, so it's kind of like a fail-safe alarm to not sleep past noon.
That's probably what I'm going to end up doing tomorrow. Is I'm going to set it for like 10 o'clock because I don't have nothing tomorrow. So it's like, yeah, let's set that alarm for 10 o'clock just so I don't sleep the entire day.
Yeah.
What's the best part about working from home?
Not having to wear shoes.
Facts.
Okay, even actually, I take that back because now I wear shoes when I do my looper. So I have to say, not having to drive anywhere.
Okay. This is an interesting question. How many pairs of socks do you own?
Oh, man. Way too many. Most of which I never wear. Probably about 40.
Fair. And we'll end it on this question. What's the best Wi-Fi name you've ever seen?
There was one that I think it was like FBI or something.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
I think
FBI surveillance or something like that.
I feel like that's a pretty common one that you see anytime you move into like an apartment complex. You've always got the FBI surveillance van number 7, like whatever it is. So that's always kind of funny.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, that went a lot better than I thought it would have, because some of these questions get weird and I'm trying to be a lot more not pre-reading the questions like, oh no, that's a weird question, so.
You never know what somebody might have a great answer to.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where it's like some of the questions get so outside, like because the generator is like all encompassing, like some of the questions are very problematic, like they get a little political and it's just we're going to skip those. And so I'm trying to like read it without reading it and just, but it's all in the learning process. But I do appreciate you joining us. And while I ready our raid, let's have you tell everybody where they could find you on your socials, if they want to listen to your music, get all the information and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Always great talking to you. And you can check me out at my website, mandypratermusic.com. I'm also at Twitter and Instagram as the Mandy Prater. And you can find me on Twitch, of course, at Twitch TV /Mandy Prater. Come on by and hang out with us. I stream on Saturday nights, Monday afternoons, and Wednesday evenings. So come check out a stream.
Awesome.
That's U.S. Central Time.
Yes. That's always the interesting part because I give them a time and I have to put Central because everybody, for whatever reason, assumes Eastern.
Yeah.
That's like the default.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I do the exact same thing. But once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you for everybody being active in the chats. I really appreciate that. If you haven't, please give us a follow. Would really appreciate it. We are on our way to our goal of hitting 150 followers and reaching affiliate by my birthday.
Awesome. When's your birthday?
May 31st.
May 31st. Cool.
Yes. And we are really close to hitting affiliate. Like that was the big hurdle. That's like the big hurdle and just getting like the consistency of the stream.
Viewer average is hard.
Viewer. Because it's like we get like 2 really good podcasts in a row, but they're like small interviews that are only like a half hour. And then we get a podcast that goes like an hour and a half and there's only like a couple of people that kind of jump in and out. It's just like, dang it. Sorry. That's unfortunate.
You'll get there and you'll get there really soon. So thanks so much. Thanks, Mandy Lorians, for coming and hanging out with us. And
I love that.
guys, in a little over an hour, I'll be on my stream.
Absolutely. I'll be over there at some point. I'm going to try and eat some dinner in here. But in the meantime, we're going to go raid Calvin Thomas, one of the first streamers that I started following.
He's fantastic.
Yes, he is. But let me prep this raid.
Oh, yeah. Calvin just raided me like a week or two ago.
Yeah, I think I randomly found him. Just, it was interesting. So he was like one of the first people as I was trying to reach outside of my bubble, because I was like following you. I was following a couple other people, and he was like one of the first people like outside of my bubble, so to speak. So, and I don't have any fancy raid calls. So if you have a predetermined raid call, feel free to throw it in there.
We'll just announce ourselves when we come in.
Awesome. I'm not that cool yet. Like I'll get there eventually. But we're going to start this raid. Once again, thank you everybody for hanging out, and we will catch you all later.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Yep.